Hey there, Bridget and Emily. As per the request you guys made for me being late with my last video, I've agreed to have my cat here show up on my lap. Now, granted, you can't see her because she's actually a fairly small cat, but she's here, and yep, there she is. She's licking my arm. In any case, though, this week I got to go over to Valparaiso University and sign up for classes I'm going to be taking in the fall. Gotta say the campus is pretty nice now that I got to stay there overnight. I'm signed up to take German, honors physics, courses over at the Honors College, which is Christ College, and I think that's about it, along with oboe lessons and symphony orchestra. So that's what I've been doing so far this week. But I was actually thinking about discussing something else in my video. Something a bit more interesting. So today I was watching Modern Marvels, and as usual they discuss many things regarding technology you see every day. And I got down to thinking, I wonder if there's any sort of kick-ass story behind some of these things that I have lying around over here on my desk. Well, it turns out that one of them does, and it's the ballpoint pen. This thing has been to war. Now, the history of the ballpoint pen begins with the fact that writing instruments had around the turn of the 20th century. Back then, you had two choices, pen or pencil, and by pen, I mean fountain pen. Now, pencil was fine for the average Joe, it didn't really matter to him, but if you were some guy who was in a position of power, or a manager or something, or just someone who had to deal with people every day, you wanted to have a pen. Why? Because if you're sending orders or you're sending a communication, you don't want to write in pencil, because it's really easy to fake a document with pencil just by erasing it and then, putting someone's signature somewhere else. A pen is much more difficult. However, the problem is that you have to deal with a fountain pen. A drippy, messy, difficult to maintain fountain pen. Luckily for the rest of humanity, though, there was a Hungarian Jew named Laszlo Brio who started working on fountain pens in the 1930s. Now, his advantage over fountain pen technology and the other would-be inventors was that he was working for a newspaper, and as a newspaper editor, he had also had trouble with fountain pen technology, and so had turned towards the ballpoint pen, or what would eventually become the ballpoint pen. His revolutionary idea was that he would use the same ink that was used to print newspapers, since it dried quickly and efficiently, and didn't involve smearing and smudging. And he worked with his brother, who was a chemist, to help create this pen in a specially formulated ink. Now, unfortunately for him, he was living in Hungary in 1931, and very shortly that area became occupied and was just riddled with Nazis. Cat, stay in my lap. Now, the Nazis, as you know, are not very friendly to Jews, and probably wouldn't like his idea for a new and improved pen either. So, Mr. Laszlo Brio went to Argentina, where he set about making pens. Now, when he was in Argentina, he was found out about, the Germans were attacking the Jews, and things were just going, in general, very badly for Europe, and the cat is trying to escape my lap. And so he decided that he needed to do something about this, and so he did the only thing he could do. He made pens, and he sold them to the only people he knew who would take them to the Germans, the RAF. Now, I'm sure his original intention was more along the lines of taking the pens and dropping them as sharp, pointy objects onto Germans below, or I should say Nazis. However, the RAF found a different use for them. The RAF found that these pens, ballpoint pens, were very good at filling out logs at high altitude when fountain pens often weren't. This is because fountain pens were susceptible to changes in air pressure, while the ballpoint pen was not. Now, what ended up happening is that the RAF bought these pens and used them to do great work that helps win the war, and that was by filling out the all-important flight log books, because those books were originally filled out by pencil, and pencil is laughably easy, like I said earlier, to forge. So what did Mr. Brio contribute to the war? He made it impossible for the Allies to hit the mark after having gone through their bomb run. So yeah, the pen. Who would have guessed that Nazis were involved in this thing's creation and ultimate propagation through our society? The Bic Corporation, by the way, bought the patent from Mr. Brio. However, it is worth noting that in many parts of what is the Spanish-speaking world, ballpoint pens are still called Brios. So thanks, Bridget and Emily. I hope that was interesting, and I'll see you, Bridget, on Wednesday.